What a dominant performance by the Ohio State Buckeyes. Welcome into Four Verts. I am Harrison Graham. Buckeyes dismantled the Ducks 41-21. We'll talk a little Texas Arizona State as well. Plus, get you caught up on the Sugar Bowl situation as that game was postponed. But this is why you subscribe. We got you covered here on Four Verts, daily NFL and college football content here on the channel. We're going to react to today's CFP doubleheader. Georgia Notre Dame postponed till tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time. We'll go live at 3:30 Eastern here on Four Verts and on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Still going to have that game covered for you guys. We'll get you caught up on the details of that here in just a few moments. But we got you covered. Videos every single day. Let's freaking go. All right, let's talk first about the game that just happened, and then we'll circle back to the Peach Bowl. Not sure how many people would have said that the Texas-Arizona State game would be better than Ohio State-Oregon, but that's how it played out. I mean, what a dominant performance by Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Listen, I didn't blame Ohio State fans that wanted him gone. He's lost to Michigan 4 years in a row, and how they've played against Tennessee and Oregon, there's still a small part of you that's like, how on earth did this team lose to Michigan? I get they're playing better. Michigan beat Bama in the bowl game the other day, but still, you're just like, how did that even happen? But if you're a Buckeyes fan, as much as that sucks, you're 2 games away from a national championship, 2 wins away, and I'm not sure anybody can stop this buzzsaw. Now, Texas will have challenges it can present, but I said it yesterday, or the day before, I think it was yesterday when we talked about this matchup. Ohio State's A game beats anybody's game, A game, including Oregon's. Now, I picked the Ducks. Bad pick by me. I just thought they had been more consistent this year, but we've seen the last 2 weeks. When Ohio State plays their best, I don't think they can be beaten. And I still feel that way. They just got dogs everywhere. Jeremiah Smith, their freshman wide receiver, 7 catches, $187, 2 touchdowns. He'd be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, and he is a freshman. He is a completely dominant player. I mean, he really, really is. He's completely dominant. He dominated again today. Got some man coverage looks a couple times. I'm like, Dan Lanning, are you going to double this guy or not? Will Howard, listen, watched him for a few years at Kansas State. Every once in a while, the guy has a clunker, but he's been outstanding, especially throwing the deep ball, 17 of 26, 319, and 3 touchdowns. Turns out when you play with NFL players, you get elevated as well, going from K-State to Ohio State. He played with a few pros in Manhattan, but you know what I'm saying. He's got, 3 or 4 pros he's throwing to. He's behind a professional offensive line, all that stuff. Travion Henderson rushes for 12 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins had 85 yards. Just a complete offense. And they also dominated on defense. They sacked Dillon Gabriel, I think, 7 times. Let's see if we got the updated number here. It was for sure 6. Let's see. It ended up being 8 times. 8 times. And you know who was just absolutely dominant was the duo of Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. Tuimoloau had 2 sacks. Sawyer had 2 sacks. He also batted 3 balls at the line of scrimmage. I mean, you want to talk about a complete performance. This game was 34-0 late in the first half. Oregon had to score on the last play of the half and get the 2-point conversion just to get on the board going into the locker room. And scored out of the locker room, got to 34-15. You're thinking, if something weird happens, if they get a defensive score, maybe this becomes a game. But when they got the ball back again down 34-15, they went 3 and out. And you're like, okay, this game's over. Ohio State scored again, and the rest was history. But just a complete performance. Other than maybe about a half quarter total into the first half, early second half of not even a lapse, but just Oregon kind of elevating their level a bit. This was just a complete destruction. I mean, there was a point where you're just looking at this, you're like, are they going to score 60 points, 70 points? Now, obviously, they end up with just 41, but I do think 50 plus could have been on the table had they had to keep scoring. They obviously didn't need to because their defense was dominating as well. Just a complete performance. And this is the Ohio State, the last 2 games, the last 2 weeks, that a lot of people thought we'd get coming into this year. With the amount of money they spent in the transfer portal, with the amount of raw talent on this team, both developed and brought in via the portal, like I said, they just have more talent than everybody else. Now, I think raw talent-wise, the team they're going to play next, Texas, is pretty close. I don't think it's Ohio State, though. I just don't. I think the Buckeyes are heavy favorites, a strong word, but a safe favorite to win the national championship at this point. I would bet when betting odds come out after the Sugar Bowl tomorrow, they will be the betting favorite to win this thing, despite being on the tougher side of the bracket from beginning to now. Ryan Day, give him credit. Obviously, Buckeye fans aren't going to be completely happy until he starts beating Michigan again, but they just, outside of that Michigan matchup, he just dominates. He really does. I think he's got, 11 losses and 4 of them are to Michigan. So outside of that game, which I get it, it's important, no question about it, he's a pretty dominant coach. And Chip Kelly, let's give Chip Kelly some credit. He was dialing it up today. And for Oregon, look, a disappointing end to an awesome season. They were the only unbeaten Power 4 team in college football this year. They were worthy of the number 1 seed. I'm not going to sit here and bitch about the format too much because, listen, you get blown out like this, you just gotta play better. Period. End of story. Did they get a tough draw? Yeah, they did. But they were outclassed. That's the bottom line. And Dan Lanning will acknowledge that. So tough way for them to go out. Dillon Gabriel does tie Case Keenum's Division I FBS record with in-career touchdown passes. So cool for him. Be curious to see what's next for him. I think he'll get drafted. Not sure where. But Trayshawn Holden had a big game, $115 and 2 touchdowns. But this game was over very quick. Very quick. We saw a little spurt late first half, early second, but it never even entered the range. It was the, maybe the Ducks are lurking, but then they weren't. So Ohio State wins. Oregon loses. Buckeyes will play Texas in the semifinals, which is where we shift to next as Texas survives Arizona State. Easily the best game of the college football playoff up to this point. 39-31, double overtime. And it took a Quinn Ewers touchdown pass in the first overtime after Arizona State had already scored to force the second overtime in which he threw another touchdown pass. And then Texas picked off Sam Leavitt, the ASU quarterback. Talk about when you have to have it in delivering for Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is a roller coaster, man. You watch this game. This is his career in a nutshell. At times, really good. At times, really bad. Game on the line, though, he delivered. And he's done that a lot in his career. Not as much this year, but the last couple of years, he's played big in big games. And when his back was against the wall, he and Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham confirmed this after the game. They brought a cover 0 blitz on that 4th and 13, which I think is a questionable call. I would have played. And look, I'm always an advocate for 3rd and 4th and long to bring pressure, but I don't know about bringing 6 or 7. 4th and 13, you're just outside the red zone. The field's constricted. Like I would like to see Quinn Ewers have to force a tight window throw there, but they brought the house and Texas picked it up. Quinn Ewers checked to a max protection cover 0 beater, and Matthew Golden ran a beautiful double move. That guy's a stud, by the way, and Ewers lofted it right to him. Just a beautiful pitch and catch. Great check by him at the line. So got to give credit where it's due, man. He found a way. After his kicker missed 2 field goals, Sark started calling weird shit. They couldn't run the ball. Quinn Ewers delivered, and he's a polarizing player. I haven't been the biggest fan of his, if I'm being completely honest. He's a little too erratic for me, but he back against the wall, he stoned up. No question. So now he gets to go up against the team that paid him some money out of high school, Ohio State, where he was at his true freshman year, which it would have been his senior year in high school. Gets to go up against those guys, so that'll be fascinating. Before we put a wrap on this game, though, Cam Skattebo, my wife, a Texas alum, she's tired of hearing his name, but even she can acknowledge how good he is. One of the greatest individual performances in a loss I think we've ever seen, especially in college football. Let's just run through the numbers here. He had 30 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing against probably the best run-stopping defense in the country. 8 catches, 99 yards. That more than doubled their second leading receiver, which, by the way, was Malik McClain, 1 catch for 42 yards, which was thrown by Cam Skattebo himself. 42-yard touchdown pass on fourth down. This guy had 284 yards and 3 total touchdowns. You want to talk about historic performance? The Peach Bowl, they gave him the MVP of the game. They've never done that for a player on the losing team in the history of the bowl. I mean, it was unreal. This guy almost carried ASU by himself, at least offensively, to the semis. I mean, round of applause to him. Kenny Dillingham, Coach of the Year, stud. ASU talked a lot coming into this game, and you're thinking, especially they get down early, you're thinking, may not have been a good move. They backed it up, though, man. Their defense balled out after a slow start. Couldn't finish it in overtime. That 4th and 13, that's going to haunt them. But Skattebo, Levitt was running around making plays. He rushed for 60 yards, threw for 222. Did throw the game-sealing pick on 3rd and long. That's not great, but ASU played well, man. And Dillingham's not going anywhere. Skattebo is, though. He's going to be drafted at some point. And, they missed their top receiver, Jordan Tyson. You got to wonder how big of a absence that was. But congrats to Texas. Congrats to Ohio State. They will play each other in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. I mean, that's going to be a scene in Jerry World. Crimson, orange, kind of like Texas OU at the actual Cotton Bowl site. It's going to be, or I shouldn't say crimson, scarlet for any Buckeye fans watching. That's going to be a scene. And I would give Ohio State the edge. If you ask me right now, I'd pick them by probably 10. I think Texas will play better, but they're going to have to play significantly better to beat Ohio State. And quite frankly, Ohio State's probably going to have to be a little off. Again, if they play their A game, I don't think they're losing. I just don't. I don't think Ohio State's best can be beaten. So we'll see. Sark has a lot of work to do to get these guys ready. But character win. Bert Auburn misses a couple field goals. They bounce back in overtime, find a way. So big win for the Horns. All right, Sugar Bowl postponed due to the senseless New Year's Eve terror tragedy that took place. Obviously, details still flying in on that, but at least 15 people killed. Just senseless, disgusting. Not going to, be one of these people that gets into the politics of it, but obviously just a senseless and sad situation, to be frank. In fact, I went to TCU. A player on TCU's team this year, Jack Besh, his brother was one of the victims. He died. Played college football at Princeton. So, really sad deal. They postponed the game because there's still, I think, a couple suspects at large. The main guy got found, but I think there's a couple other suspects that they're trying to track down, at least as of earlier this afternoon. So they postponed it. As of now, 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. If that changes, we'll communicate that with all of you. But Notre Dame, Georgia should be a good game. We'll see mentally where these two teams are at. They were basically on lockdown in their hotels today. Just a scary, sad situation. And, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims, the city of New Orleans. Great city. Love New Orleans. Actually went to the Sugar Bowl a few years ago. And, our thoughts go out to everyone out there. We will be live for this game tomorrow, so join us for a little Georgia Notre Dame watch party. We'll go live 30 minutes before kickoff, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time. Myself, producer Cullen, will be bringing you all of the action as the winner of that game will face Penn State in the other semifinals, whereas we got Texas and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. The other semifinal game is the Orange Bowl. So there you go. All right, my name is Harrison Graham. That's going to do it for us here on 4 Verts. One more game to go in the quarterfinals. Hopefully it's a good one. See you guys tomorrow.